She's not just some homeless kid, Raphael whispered, staring at the screen in disbelief. These are my codes. Codes I wrote 12 years ago with someone I loved. Someone who's supposed to be dead. Luna's fingers trembled over the keyboard. My mum taught me these. Said if I ever met a man named Raphael, I should show him this. She pulled out an old flash drive. Before she was murdered. Blood was trickling from Rafael Montero's nose. He'd been working so hard for 3 straight days that his blood pressure had finally exploded. But he couldn't stop, wouldn't stop. Not when Russian hackers were literally murdering his company. In real time. Find the goddamn back door or I'll fire every last one of you. His voice tore through Technova's headquarters like a primal scream, shattering the silence that only came with absolute terror. On the wall of monitors surrounding him, client accounts were hemorrhaging money like open wounds. Not thousands, millions. 47 million from Goldman Financial. 62 million from Pacific Insurance. Numbers that made grown programmers vomit from stress. Jake, his lead developer, was literally shaking. Sir, we haven't slept in 72 hours. We've tried everything. Firewalls, patches, complete system reboots. They're like ghosts in the machine. Raphael's phone buzzed with a text that made his blood freeze. Funeral arrangements for Technova need to be finalized by noon. Board of directors. They were planning to bury him alive. Mr. Montero, a terrified intern, approached with a tablet. Channel 7 News wants a statement about the Technova financial massacre. They're calling it the biggest corporate cyber attack in US history. The tablet showed aerial footage of Technova's building, surrounded by news vans like vultures circling a dying animal. The breaking news ticker read, "Hundreds of millions stolen. CEO Rafael Montero nowhere to be found." Rafael grabbed the EE tablet and hurled it against the wall, where it exploded into 1,000 pieces. Several programmers jumped back and one woman started crying quietly. "Sir," whispered his assistant, "your ex-wife called. She says if the college fund for your kids disappears, she'll destroy you in court. And the FBI wants to interview you about potential insider trading." That's when Raphael felt his chest tighten. Heart attack. No, just the crushing weight of losing everything he'd spent 5 years building. His empire, his reputation, his children's future. He stumbled to the window, pressing his forehead against the cold glass. 30 floors below, protesters had gathered with signs, "Technova stole our life savings and arrest Rafael Montero." That's when he saw her. A small, filthy figure pressed against the security gate like a ghost, haunting his nightmare. A girl who couldn't be older than 12, wearing clothes that looked like they'd been fished out of a dumpster. But she wasn't looking at the protesters or the news crews. She was staring directly up at him. Through 30 floors of glass and steel, those impossible green eyes were locked onto his like laser beams, and she was shouting something. "Security, get that street rat away from the building," barked his head of security into his radio. But Raphael was already running toward the elevator, his heart pounding with something between desperation and insanity. Because what he thought he'd heard through all that glass was impossible. Outside, the girl hadn't moved. Up close, she was even more devastating. Stick-thin from hunger, hair hacked short like she'd done it herself with a broken bottle, clothes held together with safety pins and hope. But those eyes, Jesus Christ, those eyes belonged to someone who'd seen the world burn and learned to walk through the ashes. "What did you say?" Raphael gasped, his voice raw from screaming. The girl looked him up and down with an expression that was equal parts pity and contempt, like she was seeing right through his $1,000 suit to the broken man underneath. "I said your system's got a Russian backdoor and you're all too stupid to see it." Her voice was steady, controlled, nothing like a normal kid's voice. "You've been patching the wrong entry points for 3 days while they drain you dry through your legacy financial integration system." Raphael's legs almost gave out. This impossible child had just diagnosed his company's terminal illness in 1 sentence, when 30 of the country's best programmers had failed for 72 hours straight. How? How could you possibly know that? Luna shrugged with the casual indifference of someone who'd stopped being surprised by the world's cruelty long ago. "Because I've been sitting here watching your people run around like headless chickens for 3 days. Also," she held up what looked like a laptop held together with duct tape and prayer, "I've been tracking their attack patterns on stolen Wi-Fi. Your experts are idiots." "Security!" someone screamed from the building. "Remove that vagrant immediately." But Raphael stepped between the guards and the girl, his voice cutting through the chaos like a blade. "Touch her, and you're fired. All of you." The guards froze. They'd never seen Raphael protect anyone, let alone a homeless kid. As they walked toward the building, Raphael noticed how Luna moved. Not like a child, but like a wild animal who'd learned that every space might be a trap. Every person might be a threat. "I'm Raphael," he said as they entered the lobby. "Luna," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Luna, how long have you been living on the streets?" "Long enough to know that rich people only care about poor people when they need something." The elevator ride was silent except for the sound of Raphael's world crashing down around him. But Luna stood perfectly still, studying the reflection in the polished doors like she was memorizing every detail for later survival. When the doors opened to the war room's chaos, Luna didn't even blink at the shouting, the flashing screens, the grown men crying at their desks. She just walked calmly to the nearest workstation, set down her impossible laptop, and looked at Raphael with those ancient, knowing eyes. "You got 17 minutes before the next wave hits and finishes you. Off completely," she said matter-of-factly. "Want me to save your ass? Or should I go find someone who actually deserves help?" What happened next violated every law of physics and logic Raphael understood. This broken child with her broken computer didn't just stop the attack. She reversed it like rewinding a nightmare. Lines of code flowed across screens faster than human eyes could follow. Account numbers flashed from red to green. Money flowed back like a digital resurrection. And then, in a final act of technological poetry, Luna's fingers danced across the keyboard one last time. Every screen in the room displayed the same message. Systems secured. Vulnerabilities patched. Total recovery, 94%. Love. The kid you almost ignored. The war room erupted. 30 exhausted programmers screaming with joy, crying, hugging each other like they'd just been pulled back from the grave. Because they had. But Raphael couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but stare at this impossible child who just performed a digital miracle with technology that looked like it belonged in a garbage dump. Luna quietly closed her laptop and started walking toward the elevator, like saving. A billion-dollar company was just another Tuesday for her. "Wait." Raphael's voice broke like a teenager's. "Please, I need to understand. Where did you learn to do this? Who taught you?" Luna paused at the elevator doors, her small hand hovering over the button. For just a moment, the mask slipped, and Raphael saw her for what she really was. A 12-year-old girl who'd been carrying the weight of the world on shoulders that weren't strong enough to bear it. "My mum taught me," she whispered, and her voice finally sounded like it belonged to a child, before they murdered her for knowing too much. The elevator dinged softly, and Raphael watched in growing panic as his savior stepped inside. "She used to say," Luna continued, her green eyes now bright with unshed tears, "that the most powerful code isn't about destroying things, it's about putting broken pieces back together, about making something beautiful from something ruined." Doors started to close, and Raphael realized with absolute certainty that if this girl walked out of his life right now, he'd spend the rest of his days wondering if she'd been real or just a fever dream born of desperation. "Luna!" he called out, desperately. "What was your mother's name?" The elevator doors were almost closed when Luna's voice drifted back to him, soft as a prayer and sharp as a knife. "Sarah. Sarah Cardoso. And she said if I ever met a man named Rafael Montero, I should tell him that some love stories don't end when someone dies. They just wait for the right moment to begin again." The doors closed with a whisper, leaving Raphael standing in his saved war room, surrounded by celebrating employees, with tears streaming down his face and his heart beating a rhythm he hadn't felt in 12 long, empty years, because he knew exactly who Sarah Cardoso was, and he was beginning to understand that saving his company might have been the least important thing that had happened today. Raphael stood frozen in front of the closed elevator doors for what felt like hours, but was probably only minutes. Around him, his team was celebrating their miraculous salvation, but their voices sounded like they were coming from underwater. All he could hear was the echo of Luna's words. Sarah Cardoso. Sarah fucking Cardoso. His legs gave out and he collapsed into the nearest chair, his whole body shaking like he'd been struck by lightning. Jake rushed over, concern replacing the celebration in his eyes. "Boss? You okay? We did it. We're saved." But Raphael couldn't speak, because 12 years ago Sarah Cardoso had been everything to him. His business partner, his best friend, his soulmate, the woman he'd planned to marry before everything went to hell. "Sir?" Jake's voice seemed to come from a different planet. "Should I call a doctor?" "Get out," Raphael whispered. "What? Get everyone out of here, now!" The war room emptied in seconds, leaving Raphael alone with his memories and the crushing weight of a truth he wasn't ready to face. He stumbled to his private office and locked the door, his hands shaking so badly he could barely turn the deadbolt. On his desk sat a framed photo he hadn't really looked at in years. Raphael and Sarah at the launch of their first company, Tech Heart Solutions. They were both 25, broke as hell, and absolutely convinced they were going to change the world together. Sarah's green eyes sparkled with ambition and love as she looked at Raphael like he hung the moon. Those same impossible green eyes he'd just seen in a 12-year-old girl whose mother was supposedly dead. Raphael's phone buzzed. A text from his private investigator. "Found preliminary info on Luna. No last name, no records. It's like she doesn't exist, we'll dig deeper." Doesn't exist, just like Sarah had stopped existing 12 years ago when she'd vanished without a trace, taking half their company's code and all of Raphael's heart with her. He opened his laptop with trembling fingers and did something he hadn't done in a decade. He searched for Sarah Cardoso. The results were exactly what they'd always been. Nothing. No social media profiles, no obituaries, no records of any kind after 2012. But now he knew why. Because she hadn't just disappeared. She'd been murdered. And somehow, impossibly, she'd had his child before she died. Raphael's chest tightened as he opened an encrypted folder buried deep in his computer's archives. Files he'd sworn he'd never look at again. Photos of him and Sarah working late nights, debugging code by the light of their computer screens. Videos of them presenting their first app to investors, holding hands under the table for luck. And then he found it. The video that had destroyed him. December 15th, 2012. Sarah's last day at Tech Heart Solutions. Raphael had set up a camera to record what was supposed to be their engagement announcement to the team. Instead, it captured the worst fight of his life. "You don't get it, Raphael," Sarah was screaming on the laptop screen, her face streaked with tears. "I'm not just your business partner. I'm not just your girlfriend. I'm trying to tell you something important, and all you care about is this stupid company." Past Raphael's voice was cold, dismissive. "If you can't handle the pressure, maybe you should leave. I don't have time for emotional drama." "Fine," Sarah had whispered, her voice breaking. "But someday you're going to realize that you chose lines of code over real life. And by then, it'll be too late." She'd walked out that night, taking their shared dreams and the secret she'd been trying to tell him. Raphael had been too proud to chase her, too angry to listen, too stupid to understand that she'd been trying to tell him she was pregnant with his child. The office door burst open, making Raphael jump. Jake stood there, his face pale with panic. "Boss, you need to see this. The girl, Luna, she's back. She's in the lobby and she's asking for you, but that's not the weird part." "What's the weird part?" Raphael's voice came out as a croak. "She brought something. A bag full of old computers and hard drives. Answer. They're all running Tech Heart code. The original algorithms you and Sarah developed. The ones that supposedly disappeared when she left." Raphael's heart stopped. Sarah had kept their code. For 12 years, she'd preserved their digital legacy. And now her daughter, their daughter, was returning it to him. "Bring her up," he whispered. "Sir, bring her up." 5 minutes later, Luna stood in his office doorway like a ghost given form. In daylight, streaming through his floor-to-ceiling windows, she looked even more heartbreakingly fragile. But those eyes, Sarah's eyes, burned with an intelligence that made Raphael want to weep. She was carrying a duffel bag that looked like it weighed more than she did. "My mom said to give you this if I ever found you," Luna said simply, setting the bag down with a heavy thud. "Said it belonged to both of you, but you'd probably forgotten all about it." Raphael knelt beside the bag with reverent hands, unzipping it like he was opening a tomb. Inside were ancient hard drives, laptops that hadn't been made in a decade, and flash drives held together with electrical tape. But it was the handwritten note taped to the top that made him break down completely. "Raphael, if you're reading this, something's happened to me. Inside are all our dreams, all our codes, all our late-night miracles. I kept them because I couldn't bear to destroy something we created together. Luna knows them by heart. I made sure of that. She's the best of both of us. Take care of our little girl. She's going to change the world. Love always, S. Our little girl." The words hit Raphael like a physical blow. He looked up at Luna, through eyes blurred with tears, and saw everything he'd missed. Sarah's brilliant mind, Sarah's stubborn chin, Sarah's way of tilting her head when she was thinking. "She's really gone, isn't she?" he whispered. Luna nodded, her small hands clenched into fists. "Car accident. When I was 7, but it wasn't an accident. The brakes were cut. Someone wanted her dead because she'd found something she wasn't supposed to find." "What kind of something?" "Code that was stealing money. Lots of money. From the company you built after she left." Luna's voice was steady, but Raphael could see her trembling. "She was going to tell you about it. About me, about everything, but they killed her first." The room spun around Raphael as the implications crashed over him like a tsunami. Sarah had been murdered because she'd discovered embezzlement at Technova. The company he'd built on the ashes of their destroyed partnership was corrupt. And his daughter, had been living on the streets for 5 years because someone had wanted to keep those secrets buried. "Luna," he said, his voice breaking on her name. "I'm so sorry. I should have looked for you. I should have known." "How could you know?" she replied with devastating simplicity. "Mom never told you I existed. She said you made it clear that business came first." The accusation hit Raphael like a knife to the chest because it was true. He had chosen the company over Sarah. He had prioritized code over love, and that choice had cost him everything. "But she still loved you," Luna continued, reaching into her pocket. "She kept this." She pulled out a small silver ring, the promise. Ring Raphael had given Sarah on their first anniversary. The ring she'd thrown at him during their final fight. She said, "Someday when I found you, I should give this back." Said maybe you'd learn the difference between building something that lasts and building something that matters. Raphael took the ring with shaking hands, slipping it onto his pinky finger where it barely fit. It was still warm from being carried close to Luna's heart. "Your mum was right about everything," he whispered. "I was an idiot who lost the only thing that ever mattered." "Maybe," Luna said, and for the first time she almost smiled. But she also said, "Smart people learn from their mistakes," and that it's never too late to choose family over everything else. Outside, Seattle's skyline gleamed in the afternoon sun, but Raphael only had eyes for the daughter he'd never known existed, the daughter who'd just saved his company, and maybe, if he was incredibly lucky, might give him a chance to save her in return. "Luna," he said carefully, "where have you been living?" "Nowhere, everywhere. Foster homes until I aged out. Streets after that." She shrugged like homelessness was just another fact of life. "But I always knew someday I'd find you. Mom's code led me here." "What do you mean?" "She hid messages in the algorithms, little pieces of our story. When you ran the recovery program today, it triggered something. A beacon. That's how I knew exactly when to show up." Raphael stared at this impossible girl who'd inherited her mother's genius and learned to survive in a world that had tried to destroy her. Who'd carried their legacy for 5 years, waiting for the right moment to return it. "Luna," he said, his voice thick with emotion, Would you like to come home? With me?" For the first time since she'd walked into his life, Luna looked like what she was, a scared, lonely child who'd been carrying an adult's burden for far too long. "What if you change your mind?" she whispered. "What if you decide I'm too much trouble?" Raphael knelt down so they were eye to eye, seeing Sarah's face reflected in their daughter's features. "Then you'd be the first person in my life I'd fight the whole world to keep." And for the first time in 12 years, Rafael Montero felt like he might actually deserve a second chance. 3 weeks had passed since Luna moved into Raphael's penthouse, and every morning he woke up terrified it was all a dream, that he'd find her bed empty, her clothes gone, and only the faint scent of her strawberry shampoo as proof she'd ever existed. But she was real, and sitting at his kitchen island every morning, hunched over her ancient laptop, fingers flying across keys like she was conducting a digital symphony, real and breaking his heart a little more each day, with how carefully she moved through his space, like she was afraid to disturb anything, like she expected to be asked to leave at any moment. "Dad?" Luna's voice made him look up from his coffee. She'd started calling him that 2 weeks ago, and it still made his chest tighten with an emotion he couldn't name. "Yes, sweetheart? I think I found something. About Mom's accident." Her green eyes were darker than usual, storm clouds gathering. "It definitely wasn't an accident." Raphael set down his mug with hands that weren't quite steady. They'd been investigating Sarah's death together, father and daughter bonding over lines of code and police reports, but every piece of evidence they uncovered felt like another knife to the chest. "Show me." Luna turned her laptop toward him, and the screen displayed traffic camera footage from December 22, 2017. Sarah's Honda Civic, approaching an intersection, driving normally. Then, impossibly, the car suddenly accelerated through a red light and slammed into a semi-truck. "Watch the brake lights," Luna whispered. Raphael leaned closer, and his blood went cold. Sarah's brake lights never came on. Not once. Even as her car careened towards certain death. "I hacked into the mechanic's report from the insurance company," Luna continued, her voice getting smaller with each word. "The brake lines were severed. But here's the thing. They were cut from the inside. Someone had been in her car." "Jesus." Raphael's voice came out strangled. "Luna, I'm so sorry. You shouldn't have to see this." "Yes, I should." Her jaw set with familiar stubbornness, so much like Sarah it made him ache. "They killed my mom. I have a right to know why." She clicked to another file, and Raphael's world tilted. It was an email chain between Sarah and someone called MILLIONAIRE'S, dated just days before her death. Sarah's final message read, "Marcus, I have copies of everything. The nanotransactions, the offshore accounts, the falsified quarterly reports. If anything happens to me, this all goes to the FBI. We need to talk. Marcus Viana, Raphael's current business partner, the man who'd helped him rebuild Technova after Sarah left, the man who'd been like a brother to him for 5 years, the man who'd apparently murdered the mother of his child." "Luna," Raphael said carefully, trying to keep his voice steady, "how long have you known about Marcus?" "Since I was 8. I saw him at Mum's funeral." Luna's voice was barely above a whisper. "He came up to me after, said he was sorry for my loss, but he was smiling, and his eyes looked happy." Raphael felt his chest contracting like someone was squeezing his heart in a vice. His 8-year-old daughter had stood at her mother's funeral alone, while her mother's killer offered false condolences. "Why didn't you come to me then?" "Because Mom said you chose Marcus over her. Said when she tried to warn you about the money he was stealing, you called her paranoid. Said you'd probably just hand me over to him if you knew I existed." The accusation hit Raphael like a physical blow because he remembered that conversation. Sarah coming to him with concerns about irregularities in their financial reports. Him dismissing her worries because he trusted Marcus completely, telling her she was being paranoid and emotional. God, he'd been so stupid, so blind. "Luna, I need you to know something." Raphael knelt beside her chair so they were eye to eye. "I was wrong. About everything. I should have listened to your mum. I should have protected both of you. You couldn't protect us if you didn't know we existed," Luna said with devastating logic. "Mom made sure of that. But I could have tried to find out why she really left. I could have fought for her instead of just letting her go." Luna studied his face for a long moment, those ancient green eyes seeing straight through him. "She still loved you, you know, even at the end." "How do you know?" "Because she kept updating your code. Even after she left the company, she'd work on improvements to the algorithms you'd built together. Said she couldn't help herself, that your code was like a song she couldn't get out of her head." Raphael's throat closed up completely. While he'd been building Technova with Marcus, Sarah had been alone, pregnant, improving their shared work out of love for a man who'd chosen business over her. "There's more," Luna continued, clicking to another file. "I found bank records after Mom died. Someone transferred money into my foster care accounts, enough to keep me in the system, but not enough for anyone to adopt me permanently. Someone wanted me alive but forgotten. Marcus had to be. He was covering his tracks, keeping me close but powerless." Luna's hands clenched into fists. "For 5 years, he paid people to make sure I stayed broken, drugged in some homes, isolated in others, always moving me before I could tell anyone about Mom's research." Raphael felt rage building in his chest like molten lava. Marcus hadn't just killed Sarah, he'd spent 5 years systematically destroying their daughter, keeping her alive but ensuring she'd never be a threat. "How did you survive it?" "Mom's code." Luna touched the flash drive around her neck like a talisman. "When the foster homes got too bad, I'd sneak out to libraries and work on the algorithms. She'd taught me. The code was like having her with me." Raphael pulled Luna into his arms, feeling her small body shake against his chest. For the first time since she'd moved in, she let herself be held like the child she was. "I promise you," he whispered into her hair, "Marcus will pay for what he did. To you, to your mom, to all of us." "How?" Luna pulled back to look at him. "He's got lawyers, money, power, and we're just us." Raphael smiled, and for the first time in weeks, it felt genuine. "Luna, you saved a billion-dollar company with a laptop held together with duct tape. I think we're a little more than just us." Luna almost smiled back. Almost. What's the plan? We're going to destroy him the same way he destroyed your mom. With the truth. That evening, Raphael called an emergency board meeting. Marcus sat at the head of the conference table, looking like the picture of success in his $1,000 suit. He'd gained weight over the years, gone soft around the edges, but his eyes were still sharp, still calculating. "Raphael, you look terrible," Marcus said with false concern. "You've been working too hard since the cyber attack. Maybe you should take a vacation. Actually, I've been doing some investigating about our financial systems, about certain irregularities." Marcus's smile never wavered, but Raphael caught the slight tightening around his eyes. "What kind of irregularities? The kind that steal nanocents from millions of transactions? The kind that funnel money to offshore accounts? The kind that got Sarah Cardoso killed?" The room went dead silent. Marcus leaned back in his chair, and for just a moment, the mask slipped. Raphael saw the predator underneath. "Raphael, I think grief is making you paranoid. Sarah left years ago. Her death was tragic, but it was an accident." "No," said a small voice from the conference room doorway. "It wasn't." Luna stepped into the room, and Raphael watched Marcus's face go white as he realized who she was. Sarah's eyes. Sarah's stubborn chin, Sarah's brilliant, dangerous mind. "Hello, Mr. Viana," Luna said politely. "Remember me? You came to my mum's funeral, said you were sorry for my loss." Marcus's hands started shaking on the conference table. I don't know what you're talking about." "That's okay," Luna said with a smile that reminded Raphael painfully of Sarah. "I have something that might refresh your memory." She pulled out a tablet and set it on the conference table. The screen showed bank records, email chains, and most, damning of all, security footage of Marcus entering Sarah's apartment building the night before she died. "Funny thing about digital evidence," Luna continued conversationally, "it's really hard to completely erase, especially when the victim was smart enough to hide copies in places you'd never think to look." Marcus stood abruptly, his chair crashing backward. "You can't prove anything. I'll destroy you both." "Actually," Raphael said, standing to put his hand on Luna's shoulder, "I think you'll find that's going to be pretty difficult." "Why?" Luna's smile widened, and Raphael felt a surge of pride so intense it nearly knocked him over. "Because as of 10 minutes ago, copies of everything just went to the FBI, the SEC, and every major news outlet in the country. Oh, and I may have also sent your confession." "What confession?" "The one you just gave us." Luna held up her phone, which had been recording the entire conversation. "Thanks for that, by the way. Mom always said the guilty ones eventually confess if you give them enough rope." Marcus looked around the room at the board members, at the lawyers, at the wall of evidence that was closing in around him, and for the first time since Raphael had known him, Marcus Viana looked exactly like what he was, a cornered animal with nowhere to run. "Game over," Luna whispered. The conference room erupted into chaos, board members shouting, lawyers frantically making calls, security guards surrounding Marcus as he stood frozen, his face a mask of pure rage. But Raphael only had eyes for Luna, who stood perfectly calm in the center of the storm, like the eye of a hurricane. Her small hand was still holding the phone that had just destroyed Marcus Viana's life. "You little bitch!" Marcus snarled, lunging toward Luna. Raphael moved faster than he'd ever moved in his life, putting himself between Marcus and his daughter. "Touch her and I'll kill you myself." "Raphael, you don't understand." Marcus's voice turned desperate, pleading. "This girl is dangerous. She's been manipulating you. Sarah was crazy and the daughter is just like her." Luna stepped out from behind. "Raphael," those impossibly mature green eyes fixed on Marcus with laser focus. "My mom wasn't crazy. She was right about you and now the whole world knows it." "You've destroyed everything," Marcus screamed. 5 years of work, billions of dollars, all because of a dead woman's paranoid fantasies." "No," Luna said quietly, "because you're a killer and a thief, and because you made one critical mistake." "What mistake?" Luna's smile was sharp as a knife. "You kept me alive." Security escorted a ranting Marcus from the building, but Raphael knew this was just the beginning. Men like Marcus didn't go quietly. They fought back with everything they had, and Marcus had everything. 3 days later, Raphael's life became a nightmare. He woke up to find his personal bank accounts frozen by court order. Apparently, Marcus's lawyers had filed injunctions claiming Raphael had stolen company funds. When Raphael tried to start his car, nothing happened. The engine had been sabotaged. But that was nothing compared to what they did to Luna. Raphael found her in her room, sitting on the floor, staring at her laptop screen with tears streaming down her face. "Luna? Sweetheart, what's wrong?" She turned the screen toward him, and Raphael's stomach dropped. Someone had created deep fake videos of Luna. Horrible, explicit videos that made Raphael want to vomit. They'd uploaded them to dozens of sites with her name attached. "They made me into something disgusting," Luna whispered. "How do I make it stop?" Raphael knelt beside her, his hands shaking with rage. "I'll kill him. I'll actually kill him." "Dad." "No." Luna grabbed his hands. "That's what he wants. He wants you angry and stupid. He wants you to do something that'll get you arrested. Then what do? We think. We plan. We code our way out of this. But the attacks kept coming. Each. One more vicious than the last. Marcus hired private investigators who dug up every mistake Raphael had ever made. Suddenly, the media was full of stories about his reckless business practices and questionable relationship with an underage girl, twisted versions of the truth that made him look like a predator. Luna's school called to say she'd been disenrolled due to concerns about her home environment. The expensive private school Raphael had enrolled her in had received anonymous tips about the fake videos. "I can't go back to regular school," Luna said, trying to sound brave. "Kids have seen the videos. They think I'm that kind of girl." Raphael held her as she cried, feeling like his heart was being torn out piece by piece. His daughter, brilliant, innocent, traumatized Luna, was being destroyed by lies she was too young to understand. "We'll figure it out," he promised. "We'll beat him." "How?" "He has lawyers, money, connections. He's making us disappear piece by piece." That night, Raphael couldn't sleep. He stood at his penthouse window, looking down at the city lights, wondering how Marcus had gotten so powerful so quickly. The man who'd been his partner for 5 years had revealed himself as a monster capable of anything. His laptop chimed with an encrypted message from Luna. "Dad, check the news now." Raphael opened his browser to find his face plastered across every major news site. The headlines made his blood run cold. Technova, CEO accused of massive fraud. Rafael Montero, digital. Predator or family man? Whistleblower claims company stole billions, but the whistleblower wasn't Luna or Raphael. It was Marcus himself. In a carefully orchestrated media campaign, Marcus had positioned himself as the hero who discovered Raphael's crimes. He claimed he'd been gathering evidence for months, that he'd tried to stop Raphael internally but had been threatened into silence. The deepest cut was Marcus's tearful interview about Sarah. "She tried to warn me about Raphael's behavior," he lied smoothly. "Said he was becoming obsessed with money, with power. I think she was running from him when she died, and now he's got his hands on her daughter." Raphael's phone rang. Jake, his loyal developer, sounded panicked. "Boss, the feds are here. They're seizing everything. Computers, files, bank records. They have a warrant." "What about the evidence against Marcus?" "Gone. Someone wiped our servers clean. It's like none of it ever existed." Raphael hung up and walked to Luna's room. She was awake, sitting at her computer, her face lit by the screen's glow. "I saw the news," she said without looking up. "Luna, I'm so sorry. I failed you, just like I failed your mom." "Stop." Luna's voice was sharp. "You didn't fail anyone. This is what Marcus does. He destroys people who get in his way. But he made one mistake." "What?" Luna turned to face him, and Raphael saw something in her eyes that hadn't been there before. Not just intelligence or determination, something harder, something that reminded him painfully of Sarah in her final days. "He thinks we're done. He thinks he's won." Luna's smile was cold as winter. "But he doesn't know what Mom really left me." She pulled up a file on her computer, and Raphael's eyes widened. It was a complete map of Marcus's financial network. Every offshore account, every shell company, every illegal transaction going back 10 years. "Mom didn't just discover Marcus was stealing," Luna continued. "She built a backdoor into his entire operation. Every time he moved money, she copied the data. Every time he covered his tracks, she saved the originals." "How do you know all this?" "Because she left me instructions. In the code. Hidden in places Marcus would never think to look." Luna's fingers flew across the keyboard. She knew someday he'd come for us, so she prepared a nuclear option. "What kind of nuclear option?" Luna's smile widened. "The kind that doesn't just expose him. The kind that destroys every person who ever helped him. Every corrupt politician, every dirty cop, every paid-off judge." "Luna, that's dangerous. If Marcus realizes what you're doing, he won't. Because I'm not doing it from here. Luna started packing her laptop. I'm doing it from the one place he'll never look for us. Where? Mom's old place. The apartment where she lived before. She died. It's still there, still empty. And it has something Marcus doesn't know about. What? A direct line into Technova's original architecture, the code Mom and you built together before Marcus corrupted it. Luna shouldered her bag. We're going back to where it all started, and we're going to finish what Mom couldn't. Raphael grabbed his own bag, his heart pounding with something that felt like hope for the first time in days. Luna, yeah, Dad, Mom would be proud of you. I know, Luna said simply. That's why I'm going to burn his whole world down. As they slipped out of the penthouse, Raphael realized that Marcus had made the same mistake with Luna that he'd made with Sarah. He'd underestimated her, thought he could control her. But Luna wasn't just Sarah's daughter. She was Raphael's too. And she had inherited not just Sarah's brilliance, but Raphael's ruthless determination to protect the people he loved. Marcus wanted a war. He was about to get one. Sarah's apartment was exactly as she'd left it 5 years ago. The landlord, an elderly woman named Mrs. Chen, had kept it frozen in time after Sarah's death, paying the rent from a trust fund Sarah had set up. She said someday someone would come for her things, Mrs. Chen explained, handing Raphael the keys with shaking hands. Said it would be someone with her daughter's eyes. Raphael's throat closed as he stepped into the small apartment. It was like walking into a museum of his lost love. Sarah's coffee mug still sat on the kitchen counter, faded lipstick stain on the rim. Her favorite sweater hung over a chair. Family photos covered every surface, but none included him. Instead, Raphael saw pictures of Sarah's pregnancy. Her, hands curved protectively over her growing belly. Sarah reading to her newborn daughter. Baby Luna taking her first steps. 5 years of life he'd missed because of his pride. Dad, look at this. Luna was standing in front of Sarah's desk, her face pale with shock. The desk was covered with printouts, photographs, and network diagrams. At the center sat an old computer, still running after all these years, but it was the wall above the desk that made Raphael's knees buckle. Dozens of photographs of Marcus entering Technova, Marcus at restaurants with known criminals, Marcus shaking hands with corrupt politicians, Marcus with briefcases full of cash, and in the center, written in Sarah's handwriting, "He killed my partner. He'll kill me too, but he won't get Luna." Mom knew he was going to murder her, Luna whispered. She documented everything. Raphael studied the timeline Sarah had constructed. Marcus had been stealing from their original company, Tech Heart Solutions, from the very beginning. The fight between Raphael and Sarah hadn't been random. Marcus had orchestrated it, fed Raphael lies about Sarah being unstable and paranoid. Look at this. Luna pointed to a folder marked Insurance Policy. Inside were DNA tests, paternity, documents, legal papers Raphael had never seen. Sarah had proven Luna was his daughter and had prepared to tell him everything, but Marcus had gotten to her first. "There's more," Luna said, her voice strange. She clicked on the old computer, and the screen came alive with Sarah's face. It was a video message dated the day before she died. "If you're watching this, then I'm gone and Luna found you." Sarah's recorded voice filled the room, and Raphael felt like his heart was being torn from his chest. "Raphael, I know you'll blame yourself. Don't. This was always going to happen. Marcus can't let anyone live who knows the truth." On screen, Sarah looked exactly as Raphael remembered her. Beautiful, brilliant, terrified. "Luna, sweetheart, if you're watching this, it means you're old enough to understand. Everything I taught you about coding, every algorithm, every backdoor, it was all preparation for this moment." Luna's fingers traced the screen where her mother's face smiled back at her. "The system Marcus built is rotting from the inside. He's not just stealing money, he's building something bigger. A network that can control elections, manipulate markets, destroy lives. He thinks he's untouchable." Sarah's expression hardened. "He's wrong, because he never understood the most important rule of programming. Every system has a kill switch, and I built his." The video showed Sarah's hands moving across the keyboard, entering lines of code that made Luna gasp with recognition. "I've planted digital bombs throughout Marcus's entire operation. When you execute the program I left you, it won't just expose him. It'll destroy every person who helped him, every corrupt official, every dirty deal, every murder." Sarah's eyes blazed with fierce determination. "He wants to play God? Then let him face judgment. The video flickered, and Sarah's face softened as she looked directly into the camera. "Raphael, I never stopped loving you. I named our daughter Luna because you always said I was your moon, your guiding light. Now she's yours to guide." Tears streamed down Sarah's face. "Take care of our little girl. Teach her that love is stronger than code." The message ended, leaving Raphael and Luna sitting in stunned silence. "Dad?" Luna's voice was small, broken. "She really loved you." "Yeah," Raphael whispered. "She did." Luna opened a hidden folder on Sarah's computer, revealing terabytes of data. Bank records, communication logs, assassination orders, bribes, blackmail. Everything Marcus had done for 15 years. Meticulously documented. "This is enough to bring down half of Washington," Raphael breathed, "and half of Silicon Valley, and half of Wall Street." Luna's fingers hesitated over the keyboard. "Moms, right? This won't just destroy Marcus. It'll destroy everyone who helped him. Are you ready for that?" Luna was quiet for a long moment, staring at her mother's face frozen on the screen. Then she nodded. "For Mom, for us, for everyone he hurt." She began typing, entering the activation. Codes Sarah had taught her. But before she could execute the program, alarms started blaring outside. "Police, this building is surrounded." Raphael ran to the window and saw squad cars, SWAT vans, and news trucks surrounding the building. Marcus stood behind the police line talking to a man in an expensive suit. "He found us," Raphael said. "No." Luna's voice was eerily calm. "We let him find us. This is part of Mum's plan." "What do you mean?" Luna pointed to the computer screen. Sarah's program wasn't just a data dump, it was a trap. Every time someone tried to trace the source of the leaked information, it would lead them back to Marcus's own servers. Mom knew he'd come for us here. She wanted him close when we pulled the trigger. Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway. Voices, shouting orders. The apartment doors splintered open and armed officers poured in. "Rafael Montero, you're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, and child endangerment." But Raphael only had eyes for Luna, who was still typing with supernatural calm as chaos erupted around them. "Luna, stop. It's over." "No," she said quietly. "Now it begins." She hit enter. Every screen in the apartment lit up like Christmas. Data streamed across monitors so fast it looked like digital snow. Outside, car alarms started going off. Cell phones began ringing. Emergency sirens wailed in the distance. Marcus burst through the broken door, his face twisted with rage and panic. "What did you do?" he screamed at Luna. "What did you do?" Luna stood up slowly, facing the man who'd killed her mother with those same impossibly calm green eyes. "I kept my promise to Mom. I finished what she started." Marcus lunged for the computer, but it was too late. Every piece of information Sarah had gathered was already spreading across the internet like a digital plague. News sites, social media, government databases, police networks. Within minutes, the truth about Marcus Viana was everywhere. "You little monster," Marcus snarled. "You have no idea what you've done. The people who helped me, they'll never let this stand. They'll hunt you down, they'll destroy you, let them try." Luna's voice carried a strength that made Raphael's chest swell with pride and terror in equal measure. "Mom taught me how to hide in code, how to be invisible, how to survive." Raphael watched his daughter face down her mother's killer with a courage that defied her young age. Sarah had been right. Their daughter was going to change the world, even if that change came at the cost of everything else. Marcus was shouting orders at the police, but Raphael could see it in their faces. The officers were getting updates on their radios, reading the leaked documents on their phones, learning that the man they'd come to arrest wasn't the real criminal. The truth was finally free, and Marcus Viana's empire was crumbling in real time. The world exploded into chaos within hours. Raphael and Luna sat in the FBI field office, watching the news coverage on a dozen screens as Sarah's digital bomb detonated across the globe. Government servers crashed, stock markets plummeted. Arrests were happening in real time as politicians, judges, and executives were exposed. But Marcus had vanished. "He's running," Special Agent Clark said, pacing behind them. "Private jet disappeared off radar somewhere over international waters. But his network is still active, still dangerous." Luna, wrapped in a FBI-issued blanket, stared at the screens with hollow eyes. "They'll come for us." Mom's files showed who Marcus really worked for, people who make him look like an amateur. Raphael's phone buzzed constantly with death threats, photos of their safe house, pictures of Luna's school, messages promising pain that would make dying seem like mercy. Sir, Agent Clark said carefully, we need to discuss witness protection. New identities, fresh start somewhere far from here. No. Luna's voice was sharp as glass. Running means they win. Mom didn't die so we could hide. Luna, sweetheart, these people killed your mother. They'll kill you without blinking. Then, we kill them first. The words hung in the air like poison. Raphael stared at his 12-year-old daughter, seeing something in her eyes that terrified him. Not innocence lost, innocence murdered. Sarah's death had created a weapon disguised as a child. Luna, you don't mean that, don't I? She turned to face him, and Raphael saw his own rage reflected in her features. They killed Mom. They destroyed my childhood. They made fake videos of me. They called you a predator. When do we stop being victims, Dad? Agent Clark's radio crackled. We've got a problem. Subject's associates just took out the Brooklyn safe house, 3 agents down. Raphael's blood turned to ice. Luna's school friends were relocated there. Not anymore, Clark said grimly. Marcus's people sent a message. Give us the girl and this stops. Luna stood up slowly, her small frame somehow filling the room with menace. They want me? Fine. Let's give them what they want. Absolutely not. Dad, listen. Luna pulled up her laptop, showing him encrypted files. I've been tracking their communications. Marcus isn't the boss, he's middle management. The real power is a group called the Consortium. They've been using tech companies to funnel money, control elections, eliminate threats. How do you know all this? Because Mum was tracking them for years. She wasn't just investigating Marcus, she was investigating everyone. Luna's fingers flew across the keyboard. Look at this. The screen filled with names, photographs, connections, senators, Supreme Court justices, tech billionaires, foreign operatives, a web of corruption that reached into every corner of power. They killed Mom because she got too close to the truth. About their real plan. What plan? Luna's voice dropped to a whisper. Total control. They're not just stealing money, they're stealing democracy. Every vote, every election, every random crisis, it's all them. Agent Clark leaned over Luna's shoulder, his face going pale as he read the files. Jesus Christ, if this is real, it's real, Luna said. And they know I have all of it. That's why they'll never stop hunting me. Unless what? Luna's smile was cold as winter. Unless we hunt them first. Before Raphael could stop her, Luna had opened a communication channel. Text appeared on screen. Consortium leadership. We need to talk. The response came immediately. Luna Cardoso, we've been expecting you. I'm sure you have. Here's my offer. You leave my father alone and I'll give you everything my mother collected. What do you want in return? Luna's fingers hesitated for just a moment. Then, I want Marcus. Alive. I want to look him in the eyes when I destroy him. Raphael grabbed her hand. Luna, no, we're not trading with these monsters. Dad, they have resources we can't imagine. We need to be smart. The screen flickered. Meet us at the shipping district. Warehouse 47, midnight, come alone. Deal, Luna typed before Raphael could stop her. The connection terminated, leaving them staring at a blank screen. Luna, this is suicide. No, she said quietly. This is justice. Agent Clark slammed his hand on the desk. I can't let you walk into a trap. You're children in federal protection. We're not children anymore. Luna's voice carried a weight that made Raphael's chest ache. We stopped being children the day they killed my mom. That night, Raphael stared at Luna as she prepared for what might be their last mission together. She'd traded her jeans and sneakers for all black clothing. Her movements were precise, calculated, like Sarah when she was focused on code. Luna, we don't have to do this. We could run, disappear, live quiet lives somewhere, and let them win. Let them kill more people like Mum. Luna checked her backup drives one final time. No, Dad, some things are worth dying for. You're 12 years old. You shouldn't have to make these choices. I became an adult the day I watched Mom's car burn on the news. Luna's voice broke slightly. Every night since then, I've dreamed about this moment, about making them pay. Raphael knelt beside her, taking her small hands in his. I'm proud of you, prouder than I've ever been of anyone, but I'm also terrified. Me too, Luna admitted, but Mom always said fear is just courage waiting for the right moment. They drove through Seattle's empty streets in silence. The shipping district loomed ahead like a graveyard of industry, all rusted containers and broken dreams. Warehouse 47 sat at the end of a dead-end road, light spilling from its broken windows like blood from a wound. Remember the plan? Luna said as they parked. Luna, if something goes wrong, Dad. She turned to face him, and Raphael saw Sarah's fierce determination blazing in her daughter's eyes. I love you, but if you try to save me instead of stopping them, I'll never forgive you. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. That's why we have to end it. They walked toward the warehouse together, father and daughter, carrying the weight of Sarah's revenge in their hearts and her justice in their hands. Inside, Marcus waited with a dozen armed men and a woman in an expensive suit who radiated power like heat from a fire. Luna Cardoso, the woman said, you're smaller than I expected. Disappointment runs in your family, doesn't it, Marcus? Luna replied, not even looking at her mother's killer. Marcus stepped forward, his face twisted with hatred. You destroyed everything. 5 years of work, billions of dollars. Important people are very unhappy. Good, Luna said simply. That was the point. The woman smiled coldly. Give us the files, and we'll make your death quick. Luna reached into her bag, pulling out a single flash drive. Everything's on here, every name, every transaction, every murder, just like you wanted. She held it out, and Marcus grabbed for it. But Luna was faster. Instead of handing over the drive, she plugged it into a device strapped to her wrist. Every screen in the warehouse lit up with streaming data. What the hell is that? The woman demanded. Luna's smile was pure Sarah. That's my mom's final gift. Every piece of evidence she collected isn't just stored, it's live, streaming to every news outlet, government database, and social media platform in the world right now. You little bitch, Marcus snarled, raising his gun. Marcus, Luna said calmly, you just confessed to murdering my mother on live stream to 3 billion people. The warehouse erupted into chaos as the consortium's leadership realized they'd been outplayed by a 12-year-old girl with her mother's brain and her father's ruthless determination to protect the people he loved. But the night was far from over, and Luna had one more surprise waiting. The warehouse exploded into violence as Marcus raised his gun toward Luna. Raphael dove in front of his daughter, feeling the bullet tear through his shoulder like liquid fire. He hit the ground hard, blood spreading across the concrete. Dad! Luna's scream echoed through the warehouse, raw and desperate. The consortium leader, who'd introduced herself only as director, smiled coldly as her men surrounded them. How touching. Daddy taking a bullet for his little hacker princess. Luna knelt beside Raphael, her hands pressing against his wound, tears streaming down her face. Stay with me, Dad. Please stay with me. I'm okay, sweetheart, Raphael gasped, though the pain was making his vision blur. I'm not going anywhere. Marcus stepped closer, his gun still smoking. 12 years ago, Sarah chose wrong. Tonight, you both pay for that mistake. You're pathetic, Luna snarled, looking up at Marcus with pure hatred. Mom was worth 10 of you, and she knew it. Oh, your mother was a naive idealist who thought she could change the world with lines of code, Marcus laughed. Just like you, little girl. But the world doesn't change. It simply transfers power from the weak to the strong. Luna's laptop, still connected to her device, chimed softly. Data continued streaming. Financial records, assassination orders, corruption files. Every second that passed, more evidence flooded the internet. You can kill us, Luna said quietly, but you can't kill the truth. It's already out there. Watch me, the director said. She gestured to one of her men who stepped forward with what looked like an EMP device. One pulse from this and every electronic device in a 3-mile radius dies, your little data stream included. Raphael felt his heart stop. Luna's plan was falling apart. Sarah's sacrifice would be for nothing. But then Luna did something unexpected. She started laughing. What's so funny? Marcus demanded. You really think I'm my mom's daughter? Luna wiped her eyes, her laugh turning bitter. You really think after 5 years of hiding, running, surviving, I'd put all my eggs in one basket? Luna pulled out her phone, showing them a live video feed. It was them in the warehouse being broadcast to millions of viewers worldwide. Hi, Internet, Luna said to her phone camera. Meet Marcus Viana, the man who murdered my mother. And this lovely woman is director, head of the consortium that's been controlling your elections. The director lunged for the phone, but Luna was faster. She'd spent years on the streets learning to move like smoke, like shadow. You want to know the best part? Luna danced away from grabbing hands, still recording. Everything you're saying is being live-streamed to every major news network, every government database, every social media platform. That's impossible, the director hissed. We control those networks. You control some of them, But Mom taught me something you never learned. Luna's eyes blazed with triumph. The internet belongs to the people, and the people are watching. Raphael, fighting through the pain in his shoulder, pulled himself up against a shipping container. On Luna's phone screen, he could see the view count climbing. 50 million, 75 million, 100 million people watching this confrontation in real time. Even if you kill us now, Luna continued, circling Marcus like a predator, the whole world knows who you are, what you've done. There's nowhere left to hide. Marcus's face contorted with rage. You think this is over? We have resources you can't imagine. We'll find every person who helped you, every friend you've ever made. Everyone will suffer for what you've done. Good luck with that, Luna said, because there's something else Mom left me, something I've been saving for this exact moment. She pressed a button on her device, and every screen in the warehouse went white. Then slowly text began appearing. Sarah's ghost protocol activated, initiating total system purge. What did you do? The director whispered. Mom called it the reset button, Luna explained, her voice steady despite the guns pointed at her. For the last 12 years, every time any of you used digital technology, she was watching, learning, mapping your entire network. The screens showed financial institutions worldwide suddenly freezing accounts, private communications being leaked. In real time, offshore banks revealing hidden transactions, Swiss accounts emptying themselves into charity foundations. She built a virus that doesn't destroy data, Luna continued. It democratizes it. Every secret you've ever kept, every crime you've committed, it's all public now. Marcus screamed in frustrated rage and fired another shot. This time Raphael wasn't fast enough. Luna cried out as the bullet grazed her arm, but she didn't stop. Blood running down her sleeve, she kept working on her device. Luna, Raphael tried to reach her, but the director's men held him back. It's okay, Dad, Luna said, though her face was pale with shock and pain. Sarah's ghost is already running. Nothing can stop it now. All around them, phones were ringing. Men in expensive suits were shouting orders, trying to contain the chaos. But it was too late. 12 years of hidden crimes were spilling into the light like blood from a wound. Kill them both, the director ordered. Kill them and burn this place down. But as the armed men moved forward, the warehouse doors exploded open. FBI agents poured in like a tide, their tactical lights cutting through the darkness. Federal agents, drop your weapons. The consortium's people scattered like rats, but there was nowhere to run. The building was surrounded. In the chaos, Marcus grabbed Luna, pressing his gun to her head. Stand back, I'll kill her. Raphael felt his world narrow to a single point. His daughter's terrified face, Marcus's finger on the trigger, the distance between them that felt like an ocean. Let her go, Raphael pleaded. Please, she's just a child. She's a weapon, Marcus snarled. A weapon that destroyed everything I built. No, Luna said quietly. I'm just a girl who misses her mom. For a moment, Marcus's grip loosened. In that instant, Luna moved with lightning speed, driving her elbow into his ribs and breaking free. Raphael rushed forward, tackling Marcus to the ground, his wounded shoulder screaming in protest. They fought desperately, rolling across the concrete. As FBI agents swarmed the warehouse, You killed her, Raphael roared, his hands around Marcus's throat. You killed the woman I loved. She was weak, Marcus gasped back. Like you, like your pathetic daughter. Raphael's vision went red. All the pain, all the loss, all the years of guilt and rage focused into pure fury. He could end it, right here, right now. Dad, stop! Luna's voice cut through his rage like a blade. She was standing beside them, her young face streaked with tears and blood, her arm hanging at an odd angle. Don't become like him. Mom wouldn't want that. Raphael looked down at Marcus, choking beneath his hands, and saw not a monster, but a broken man who'd chosen power over love, fear over hope. He let go. FBI agents pulled Marcus away, cuffing him, as he screamed threats and accusations that no one was listening to anymore. Raphael gathered Luna in his arms, careful of her injured arm, feeling her small body shake against his chest. It's over, he whispered. It's finally over. No, Luna said, looking up at him with Sarah's eyes. Now we get to live. Around them, the warehouse buzzed with activity as the world's most powerful criminal organization crumbled in real time. But Raphael only cared about the miracle in his arms, his daughter, alive, safe, and finally free to be the child she'd never been allowed to be. Outside, sirens wailed in the distance. The sun was rising over Seattle, painting the sky in shades of hope. Sarah's long war was finally over, and Luna could begin to heal. 6 weeks had passed since the warehouse confrontation. Raphael's shoulder was healing slowly, the bullet wound, a permanent reminder of how close they'd come to losing everything. Luna's arm was still in a cast, covered in drawings and signatures from her new classmates at the private school, where she'd finally been allowed to be a normal kid. At least, that was the plan. But Raphael knew better. He saw the nightmares that still woke her screaming, the way she flinched at sudden movements, how she checked and rechecked the security system every night before bed, the fear in her eyes whenever they were separated for more than an hour. Some wounds didn't show on the outside. "Dad?" Luna's voice pulled him from his thoughts. She stood in the doorway of his home office, clutching her laptop like a shield. "I need to show you something." Raphael's heart sank at her expression. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" "It's about Marcus." She set her computer on his desk, showing him footage from the maximum security prison where Marcus awaited trial. "He has visitors." The grainy security footage showed men in expensive suits, the kind of people who didn't normally visit convicted criminals, the kind with private jets and offshore accounts, the kind who survived even when their organizations crumbled. "They're what's left of the consortium," Luna explained, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of her cast. "They're regrouping." "Luna, you need to stop this." Raphael closed the laptop gently. "The FBI, Interpol, they're handling it. You're supposed to be focusing on being a kid." "I can't." Her voice broke. "Every time I close my eyes, I see Marcus pointing that gun at you. I see your blood on the warehouse floor. I can't just pretend it never happened." Raphael pulled her into a hug, feeling her thin shoulders trembling against his chest. "I know, sweetheart, but we can't live our lives waiting for the next attack. That's not living, that's just surviving." Luna pulled away, her eyes suddenly older than any 12-year-old should be. "You don't understand. Mom's ghost protocol found something big." She reopened the laptop, showing him encrypted files that made Raphael's blood run cold. The consortium wasn't just rebuilding, they were accelerating. New shell companies, new technologies, new weapons that used code as bullets and could kill, without leaving a trace. "They're calling it the Purge," Luna explained. "A digital weapon designed to erase people, not just kill them, but erase their entire existence. Bank accounts, medical records, communication history, everything that makes you real." "And they're targeting us?" Luna shook her head. "Worse. They're targeting everyone who helped us, everyone who reported on the case, everyone who shared the truth online, thousands of people. How much time do we have? 2 days, maybe 3. Luna's fingers flew across the keyboard. "I've been working on a countermeasure, but it's not ready. I need help." Raphael stared at his daughter's determined face and made a decision. "Call Jake, tell him to bring the core team, we're going back to work." 24 hours later, Raphael's living room had transformed into a war room. Jake and 5 other Technova programmers were working around the clock, building Luna's countermeasure into something that could combat the Purge. "It's genius," Jake muttered, reviewing Luna's code. "She's built a digital shield that protects personal data by fragmenting it across thousands of nodes. Even if they erase part of someone, the rest can be reconstructed." Raphael watched his daughter working alongside seasoned programmers, her small hands flying across the keyboard with the same focused intensity Sarah had always shown. Pride and terror fought for dominance in his chest. She was too young for this, too damaged, too brilliant. His phone rang. "Agent Clark from the FBI. Montero, we've got a problem. Marcus escaped custody an hour ago." Raphael's world tilted sideways. "How?" 3 guards dead. Sophisticated hack of the security systems. Someone powerful wants him free. Clark's voice was grim. "I've sent a protection team to your location. ETA 20 minutes. "We don't have 20 minutes, Raphael said as emergency alerts began blaring across every device in the room. On all their screens, the same message appeared. The Purge initiated. Target list 4,732 individuals. Primary targets, Luna Cardoso and Rafael Montero. "They're early," Luna whispered, her face going pale. "They're already in the system." Rafael watched in horror as their digital lives began disappearing in real time. Bank accounts emptying, credit scores plummeting, medical records vanishing, home ownership records changing. "Dad, they're not just erasing us, they're replacing us." Luna pointed to property records showing their home now belonged to a shell corporation. In 20 minutes, we'll be trespassing in our own house. In an hour, we won't exist at all. The entire team worked frantically, implementing Luna's shield protocol to protect what remained of their digital identities. But it wasn't enough. For every line of defense they built, the Purge found another way through. I don't understand, Jake said, running his hands through his hair in frustration. It's like they know exactly what we're going to do before we do it. Luna suddenly went very still, her fingers hovering over the keyboard. There's only one explanation. The Purge isn't just attacking us, it's learning from us, adapting, evolving. That's impossible, Raphael argued. No algorithm can evolve that quickly, unless... Luna's eyes widened with realization. Oh no, oh no, no, no. Luna, what is it? Dad, it's using Mom's code. The Purge is built on the foundation of Sarah's ghost protocol. Luna's voice shook with horror and rage. They've taken everything she created to protect people and turned it into a weapon. Raphael felt like he'd been punched in the gut. Sarah's legacy, her brilliant, beautiful mind, perverted into a tool for destruction. How do we stop it? We don't, Luna said quietly. Not conventionally, anyway. You can't beat an algorithm designed by Sarah Cardoso with brute force. You have to outthink it. She opened a hidden folder on her computer, revealing code so old it made Raphael's chest ache. Tech Heart's original algorithms, the ones he and Sarah had built together in those early days when they thought they could change the world. Mom always said the most powerful code isn't about breaking things, it's about putting them back together. Luna's eyes shone with tears and determination. She built a backdoor into every algorithm she ever created. A failsafe only family could access. What kind of failsafe? A human one. Luna pulled up a prompt screen with a simple question. What was the last thing I said to you, Raphael? Raphael's heart stopped. The last words Sarah had spoken to him 12 years ago. Words that had haunted him every day since. Someday you're going to realize that you chose lines of code over real life. And by then it'll be too late. He typed the phrase carefully, each word an open wound in his heart. The screen flickered, and suddenly they had control of the Purge. Every line of code, every target, every digital weapon. She knew, Raphael whispered. Somehow she knew this day would come. Mom knew that code could be corrupted, Luna said softly. But memories can't be hacked. Love can't be erased. For the first time since the nightmare began, they had a chance. A small window to reverse the damage, save the targets, and find Marcus before he could disappear into the shadows again. But before they could implement the countermeasures, the power went out. Every screen went black. Every defense went offline. Backup generators should kick in, Jake said, but his voice held no confidence. The security alarm began wailing, and Raphael's blood ran cold. The cameras showed armed men surrounding the house, moving with military precision. Luna, we need to go, now. He grabbed the emergency backpack they'd prepared for exactly this scenario, pulling Luna toward the panic room at the back of the house. His wounded shoulder screamed in protest as he pushed his daughter through the hidden door. Dad, wait, Luna cried, clinging to his arm. You have to come too. I'll hold them off, buy you time. Raphael kissed her forehead fiercely. There's a tunnel that leads to the garage. Take the backup laptop, finish this. I can't leave you. Luna was sobbing now, clinging to him with desperate strength. Please, Dad, I've already lost Mom. I can't lose you too. Raphael looked into his daughter's eyes and saw Sarah looking back at him. All the brilliance, all the determination, all the love. You won't lose me, he promised. I'll find you. I always will. The front door exploded inward, and gunfire erupted. Through the house, Raphael pushed Luna fully into the panic room and sealed the door, turning to face whatever came next. Behind him, separated by steel and concrete, he could hear his daughter screaming his name. Luna crawled through the narrow tunnel beneath the house, her heart pounding like a trapped animal in her chest. Behind her, the muffled sounds of gunfire and shouting made her stomach clench with terror. Each shot could be the one that took her father away forever, just like they'd taken her mother. The tunnel opened into the underground garage where Raphael had prepared an emergency escape vehicle, an unmarked van with tinted windows and a clean digital signature. Luna's hands shook as she connected the backup laptop to the van's systems, bringing Sarah's failsafe protocol back online. I have to go back for Dad, she whispered to herself, fingers hovering over the ignition. I can't leave him. But Raphael's last words rang in her ears. Finish this. With tears streaming down her face, Luna made the hardest decision of her young life. She started the van and drove away from the only real home she'd ever known. leaving her father behind to face the remnants of the consortium, leaving him to die, just like her mother had. 2 hours later, Luna sat in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Seattle, her face illuminated by the blue glow of her laptop. Using public Wi-Fi bounced through 17 different proxies, she reconnected to Sarah's backdoor system and regained control of the purge. But it wasn't enough to simply stop it. Luna needed to understand it, to master it, to turn it against its creators. As she dove deeper into the code, she realized something that made her blood run cold. The purge wasn't just using elements of Sarah's protocols, it was using Sarah herself. They had digitized her mother's entire coding style, her logical patterns, her problem-solving approaches. They had created a digital ghost of Sarah Cardoso and twisted it into a weapon. "They're still violating her," Luna whispered, rage building inside her like a storm. Even after death, with renewed determination, Luna began reshaping the purge from the inside out. If they could use her mother's mind as a weapon, she could use it as a shield, as salvation. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, writing code that slipped between the digital raindrops of surveillance. With each line, she felt closer to Sarah. In the logic, in the elegant solutions, in the way certain sequences just felt right. Her mother was there, guiding her. "I'll make them pay," Luna promised, "for both of you." Meanwhile, Raphael was living a nightmare. Bound to a chair in his own basement, blood dripping from his reopened shoulder wound, he stared defiantly at Marcus Viana's smug face. "Where is she, Raphael?" Marcus asked for the 100th time, his voice almost casual as he examined a set of pliers. "Where did your little prodigy run off to?" "Go to hell," Raphael spat, earning another blow to his already bruised face. Marcus laughed, pulling up a chair to sit face to face with his former partner. "You still don't get it, do you? This was never about money. It was about power, the kind of power that rewrites history. Is that why you killed Sarah? Because she threatened your power?" A shadow passed over Marcus's face. Sarah was collateral damage. She wouldn't listen to reason, wouldn't take the deal. She thought her principles were more important than her life. He leaned closer. "Just like you're doing now." "What deal?" "The same one I'm offering you. Tell me where Luna is, and I'll let you live. Better yet, I'll make you rich again. Restore everything. It's a reasonable offer." Raphael started laughing, a broken, painful sound. "That's what you offered Sarah? After everything you'd done, you thought she'd sell out? Everyone has a price, Raphael. Not Sarah and not me." Raphael's eyes burned with hatred. "You can torture me all you want. I'll never tell you where Luna is." Marcus sighed, genuinely disappointed. "Then you'll die, just like Sarah did, and I'll find your daughter anyway." He stood up, straightening his jacket. "The difference is I won't make it quick for her." As Marcus walked away, leaving Raphael with his guards, a strange calm settled over him. Luna was safe. Luna was brilliant. Luna had Sarah's mind and his determination. If anyone could finish this, she could, even if he wouldn't be alive to see it. Back in the warehouse, Luna had made a breakthrough. She'd isolated the core of the purge system, the digital signature of the main controller. The operator, Marcus. His fingerprints were all over the code, invisible to most, but obvious to someone who knew what to look for. Someone like Luna, who'd spent 5 years studying how her mother's killer thought and operated. "Found you," she whispered, setting up a trace protocol that would pinpoint his exact location. But before she could activate it, her screen flickered. Her video call request. Unknown source. Luna's finger hovered over the accept button. It could be a trap. It could expose her location. It could be her father. She clicked accept. Marcus's face filled the screen, and Luna's heart froze in her chest. Behind him, barely visible in the dimly lit room, Raphael hung from his bound wrists, his face bloody and swollen. "Hello, Luna," Marcus said pleasantly. "I have someone here who'd like to speak with you." The camera panned to Raphael, who lifted, his head with effort. One eye was swollen shut, but the other fixed on the camera with fierce intensity. "Luna, don't listen to him," Raphael croaked. "Don't come back. Finish what your mom started." A guard struck Raphael hard across the face, silencing him. The camera returned to Marcus's smug expression. "Here's my offer, Luna. Your life for his. Simple exchange. You come to your daddy's house alone and I let him live. You have 1 hour." The connection terminated, leaving Luna staring at a black screen. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely type, but her mind remained crystalline, clear. Marcus had made a critical error. In his arrogance, he hadn't bothered to hide his location. The video call had given Luna everything she needed to finish her trace. They were still in the house. Her house. The place where she'd finally started to feel safe. Luna pulled up a digital blueprint of the property, overlaying it with the security system Raphael had installed. Every camera, every alarm, every access point, but most importantly, every weakness. Because Raphael had built-in escape routes, he'd also created vulnerabilities, deliberate blind spots that only family would know about. Luna's plan formed in her mind with perfect clarity. She wouldn't go alone, she'd send an army. Not of people, but of code. First, she activated Sarah's nuclear option, the ultimate whistleblower protocol. Every piece of evidence, every confession, every crime, was broadcast directly to law enforcement agencies worldwide. Not just digital copies, but analog backups that couldn't be erased. Then she took control of the purge system and reversed its directive. Instead of erasing victims, it began erasing perpetrators. Marcus's digital life disappeared byte by byte. His accounts, his identities, his escape routes. But the true genius came in her final move. Luna used Sarah's backdoor to access Technova's prototype security system, the one that controlled every smart device within a 10-mile radius of Seattle. Thermostats, door locks, electrical systems, and she sent them all to her house, all across the city. Devices activated simultaneously. Cars drove themselves toward the Montero residence. Drones lifted off from corporate headquarters. Security systems turned against their owners. An army of machines, all controlled by a 12-year-old girl with her mother's brain and her father's heart. At the house, Marcus was growing impatient. "She's not coming," he told his lieutenant. "Kill Montero, we'll find the girl ourselves." The guard raised his gun to Raphael's head, finger tightening on the trigger. That's when the house turned against them. The temperature plummeted to freezing. The lights began strobing at a disorienting frequency. Every speaker in the house blared at maximum volume. The security system locked all external doors while opening internal ones. And through every screen, Luna's face appeared. "You took my mother." Her voice echoed through the house, unnaturally calm. "You tried to take my father. You thought you could erase me." Marcus stumbled backward, shouting orders that no one could hear over the chaos. His men were running, panicking as the house itself seemed to come alive around them. "But you forgot something important," Luna continued. "My mom taught me how to build. My dad taught me how to fight, and you taught me how to destroy." Outside, police sirens wailed as squad cars surrounded the property. FBI vehicles blockaded the street. News helicopters circled overhead. "It's over, Marcus," Luna's voice continued, as the temperature dropped lower, as the lights flashed faster, as the walls themselves seemed to close in. "The whole world knows who you are now, and they're coming for you." Raphael, still bound to the chair, looked at one of the screens showing Luna's face, and felt a surge of pride so powerful it overwhelmed the pain of his injuries. His daughter, his brilliant, unstoppable daughter. Sarah would have been so proud. Marcus made a desperate break for the garage, only to find every vehicle disabled. The hidden escape tunnel was flooded. Every path was blocked, every option was gone. In the abandoned warehouse, Luna watched through hacked security feeds as the FBI tactical team breached the house, as they arrested Marcus and his men, as they freed Raphael from his restraints and carried him to an ambulance. He was alive, battered, bloody, but alive. Luna closed her laptop and stepped out of the shadows. It was time to go home. 3 days later, Luna sat beside Raphael's hospital bed, holding his bandaged hand as they watched the news coverage together. The consortium had been completely destroyed. The purge system dismantled. Every victim's digital. Life restored. And Marcus Viana was facing 312 criminal charges, including the murder of Sarah Cardoso. "You know what your mum would say if she could see you now?" Raphael asked, his voice still rough from his injuries. Luna shook her head. "She'd say you're the best code she ever wrote." Raphael squeezed her hand gently, and she'd be right. Luna laid her head on her father's chest, listening to his steady heartbeat. For the first time since she could remember, she wasn't afraid, wasn't planning escape routes, wasn't looking over her shoulder. "What happens now?" she asked softly. Raphael stroked her hair, thinking about all they'd lost and all they'd somehow miraculously found. "Now we do what your mum wanted all along. We build something that lasts, something that matters. Together, always together." Raphael kissed the top of her head. "That's the one piece of code we're never going to rewrite. Outside the hospital window, Seattle sparkled in the sunlight, a city transformed by truth, a world where corrupt power had been exposed and justice had finally prevailed, a world that Sarah Cardoso had died to create and that her daughter had brought to life. 1 year later, Luna stood at her mother's grave, watching her breath form delicate clouds in the winter air. The simple headstone read, "Sarah Cardoso, beloved mother, brilliant mind, fierce protector." Raphael had insisted on replacing the original marker once they'd learned the truth about her death. "I wish you could see what we've built, Mom," Luna whispered, laying fresh flowers against the cold stone. "I think you'd be proud." The past year had been a journey of healing and rebuilding. Marcus's trial had dominated headlines for months. Luna had testified via closed-circuit television, her quiet, precise account of her mother's murder and her own years of suffering bringing jurors to tears. When the verdict came back, guilty on all counts, with no possibility of parole, Luna had felt nothing but hollow exhaustion. Justice couldn't bring her mother back, couldn't restore her stolen childhood, couldn't erase the nightmares that still woke her screaming 3 nights a week. "Ready, sweetheart?" Raphael's voice pulled her from her thoughts. He stood a few feet away, giving her the space he knew she needed in these moments. His face was still scarred from Marcus's torture, a permanent reminder of what they'd survived together. "Just 1 more minute," Luna replied, tracing her mother's name with gentle fingers. Today was a milestone, the official launch of the Sarah Cardoso Foundation, their tribute to the woman who had connected them through code and sacrifice. What had once been Technova was now transformed into something Sarah would have recognized as her own. "She'd be so proud of you," Raphael said as they walked back to the car. "Not just for the foundation, but for everything. For surviving, for healing, for being brave enough to try to be a kid again." Luna smiled, a genuine expression that came easier these days. "She'd be proud of both of us, I think." The drive to Technova headquarters was quiet, both of them lost in their own thoughts. The building itself had been redesigned. Gone was the cold glass fortress, replaced with an open, accessible campus that prioritized collaboration over intimidation. "Nervous?" Raphael asked as they pulled into the parking lot already filled with press vehicles. "A little," Luna admitted. "But Mom always said if you're not scared, you're not doing anything important." The atrium was packed with journalists, government officials, and tech industry leaders. On stage, oversized photos of Sarah through the years provided a backdrop for the presentation. Images of her coding at university, launching her first startup, holding baby Luna. The timeline of a remarkable life cut tragically short. When Raphael stepped to the podium, camera flashes illuminated his face. 12 years ago, Sarah Cardoso and I dreamed of building technology that would protect people, that would make the digital world safer for everyone. Today, in her memory, we're finally fulfilling that promise. He gestured to the screens behind him, where the Sarah Cardoso Foundation's mission statement appeared. Digital safety and education for all, with special focus on vulnerable children. The foundation will provide free cybersecurity tools to individuals, small businesses and non-profits, Raphael continued. But more importantly, we're launching coding academies in underserved communities, providing scholarships for foster children and creating safe digital spaces for kids who need protection online. Luna watched from the side of the stage, her heart swelling with a mixture of pride and grief. This was her mother's real legacy, not just lines of code, but hope for children like herself. Children who needed someone to fight for them. "And now," Raphael said, "I'd like to introduce the person who made all of this possible. The person who, at only 13 years old, showed more courage and brilliance than most show in a lifetime. My daughter, Luna Montero Cardoso." The crowd applauded as Luna took the stage. She'd grown taller over the past year, her features settling into a striking resemblance to Sarah that sometimes took Raphael's breath away. But today, standing at the podium, she was entirely herself. "My mother believed that code could change the world," Luna began, her voice steady despite her pounding heart. "Not by controlling people, but by protecting them. Not by building walls, but by creating bridges." She looked out at the sea of faces, strangers who would never understand what she'd endured, what she'd lost, what she'd survived. "I was 7 when my mother was murdered for uncovering corruption. I spent 5 years in foster care, often drugged to keep me quiet. I lived on the streets. I suffered in ways no child should ever have to suffer." Luna paused, letting her words sink in. But my mother had prepared me. She taught me that the most powerful algorithm isn't the one that breaks things, it's the one that rebuilds them. The audience was completely silent, captivated by this extraordinary young girl with ancient eyes. The Sarah Cardoso Foundation isn't just about coding, it's about seeing the invisible children, the forgotten ones, the ones the system tries to erase. Luna's voice gained strength as she spoke. Every day in this country, thousands of kids fall through the cracks. They disappear into foster care, into poverty, into hopelessness. Today, we start finding them. She unveiled the Foundation's first initiative, Ghost Protocol, named after Sarah's original code, but reimagined as a tool to identify vulnerable children before they disappeared. A system that flagged potential abuse, tracked foster placement outcomes, and ensured no child could be erased from the system again. What happened to me won't happen to others, Luna promised. Not on our watch. When the presentation ended, Luna found herself surrounded by journalists asking questions about the technology, the Foundation, her remarkable story of survival. She answered with the poise of someone far older, deflecting questions that probed too deeply into her trauma, focusing instead on the work ahead. Later that evening, Luna and Raphael sat on their rebuilt home's back deck, watching the sunset paint, the Seattle skyline in shades of gold and crimson. They'd moved back 3 months ago, after extensive renovations had erased the physical reminders of the attack. Some nights, Luna still couldn't sleep there. Other nights, it was the only place. She felt safe. Healing wasn't linear. Raphael had learned that the hard way. "I heard from Harvard today," Luna said casually, though her tense posture betrayed her excitement. "They accepted my early application, full scholarship." Raphael nearly choked on his coffee. "Luna, that's amazing, but I thought we agreed you'd try to have a normal high school experience first." "Dad, we both know I'm never going to be normal." She said it without bitterness, simply stating a fact. "Besides, Mom was 16 when she started college. I'll be 14. I'm beating her record." Raphael laughed, recognizing Sarah's competitive spirit in their daughter. She'd love that, always trying to one-up her. Luna smiled, but it quickly faded. "There's something else I need to tell you, something I found in Mom's old files." She pulled out her laptop, still the same one she'd had on the streets, though now upgraded with cutting-edge components. The screen showed an encrypted folder labeled simply, "If I Die." "I've been working on decrypting this for months," Luna explained. "It needed both your biometric data and mine to unlock. Mom set it up that way deliberately. She wanted us to find it together." Raphael moved closer, his heart pounding. "What's in it?" "Footage from the day she died. Mom was wearing a hidden camera." Luna's voice was barely above a whisper. She knew they were coming for her. She recorded everything. With shaking hands, Raphael clicked play. The video showed Sarah's final hours from her perspective, her packing Luna's things, her recording goodbye messages, her deliberately driving to the intersection where Marcus's men were waiting. But the most devastating part was the audio. Sarah's final words spoken softly to herself as she drove to her death. "Raphael, if you ever see this, know that I forgive you. Luna will need you someday. Be the father I always knew you could be. And remember, what we built together wasn't just code, it was love." Raphael couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. The tears came without warning, great heaving sobs that tore through his chest like physical pain. Luna wrapped her arms around him, holding him together as he finally, truly mourned the woman he'd lost. "She knew," he gasped between sobs. "She knew they'd kill her. She could have run, could have hidden, but she drove right to them. She was protecting me," Luna said softly. "Creating a diversion so they wouldn't look for me that day, giving me time to disappear." They held each other as the sun set completely. Two survivors bound by love and loss, and the brilliant woman who had connected them across time. "There's one more thing," Luna said finally, pulling back to look at her father. "A message specifically for today, for after the Foundation launch." She clicked on another file, and Sarah's face appeared on screen. Younger, healthier, filmed years before her death. "If you're watching this," Sarah began, "it means two things. I'm gone, and you two found each other. It means Luna is safe, and Raphael knows the truth." Sarah's smile was radiant, untouched by the fear that had shadowed her final years. "The Foundation is just the beginning. I've left breadcrumbs throughout my code, pathways to something bigger. The real Ghost Protocol isn't about exposing corruption or protecting data. It's about creating a digital safeguard for the next generation. a system of checks and balances that no single entity can control or corrupt. Sarah leaned closer to the camera, her eyes intense. Luna, my brilliant girl, you'll understand the algorithms better than anyone. And Raphael, my love, you'll understand the human element that makes them work. Together, you're unstoppable. Together, you'll finish what I started. The video ended, leaving father and daughter staring at a blank screen, the weight of Sarah's final request settling over them. So, Raphael said finally, it seems we have work to do. Luna closed the laptop, a strange peace settling over her features. Not tonight. Tonight we remember. Tomorrow, we build. As night fell completely over Seattle, Luna gazed up at the stars, thinking about algorithms and justice and the complex code of human love. Somewhere in the vast digital landscape Sarah had created, her mother's legacy continued to evolve, continued to protect. And Luna, no longer the broken child from the streets, no longer just a victim seeking justice, would carry that legacy forward, would build on it, would transform it into something even more powerful, even more profound, not just for Sarah, not just for Raphael, but for all the invisible children still waiting to be saved. What would you sacrifice to protect the ones you love? Sarah Cardoso gave her life to shield her daughter, embedding her love in lines of code that would someday reunite Luna with the father she never knew. Their journey from strangers to family, from victims to warriors, reminds us that our past traumas don't define us. They prepare us for the battles ahead. Who in your life has sacrificed for you? What broken relationships might still be healed? If you had the courage to face the truth, perhaps tonight is the time to make that call, send that message, or forgive that person who never got to explain their side of the story. If this story touched your heart, or made you think about the invisible children in our world who need protection, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to our channel right now and turn on notifications so you never miss our next emotional journey. And if you want more stories that will change how you see the world, click on the video appearing on your screen now. The surgeon saw the janitor teaching his daughter to play piano, but he didn't know that another tale of hidden connections, secret sacrifices, and the healing power of truth awaits you just one click away.